Rest of my life. With that being said, I'm going to get to the point and go Big Red. We're staying home.
Welcome in, everyone. Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio along with Eddie Messel. Again, Eddie, we just heard from Carter Nelson. Again, short, sweet, to the point, but he committed to Nebraska today. Again, exciting news for Husker fans, as again, he is a coveted prospect. Again, number one ranked prospect in the state and one of the top prospects nationally as well. So, again, exciting to see that commitment today.
Yeah, and leading up to the last few weeks here, everyone kind of figured like he was gonna be staying home here in Nebraska. Matt Rule and his staff really did a good job getting out there and making sure that they landed, obviously, what he's ranked as the top prospect in the state. So, listen, he, like you said it, highly coveted. I mean, every big school wanted him. It was, his top, if you were looking at like 247 and all the other projections. Georgia, Notre Dame, Bama, Penn State. So, a lot of the big dogs were really, in contention to get Carter. But he's a great kid, and Ainsworth kid, so he's getting to stay home. Freeman, the head coach at Notre Dame, even made the trip out there. I read an article about how he. The nearest airport's not very close to Ainsworth, so he's flying
hard to get to.
He's flying in from Notre Dame out to, driving out there to go see him. So obviously, there's a lot of schools here that really wanted him.
And we're going to have hopefully here against sports reporter Chase Madison is up there in Ainsworth again covering this for us. We're hoping to get a live interview with Carter here in the next few minutes. Again, they're kind of getting set up for that right now. So again, stay tuned here for a few more minutes. Again, we're hoping to get that interview up here shortly. Again, it looks like, again, we can kind of go to... Our feed kind of keeps going in and out a little bit. It looks like they're still working on it, but again, we're hoping to have an interview with Carter Nelson here in the next few minutes.
Yeah, and again, I mean, like you said, just a huge day for Nebraska. I mean, Matt Rule's done, I think, what a lot of people and a lot of Husker Nation have been waiting to see, and that's land these big in-state commits. Like, that's kind of one of the big questions is why aren't these kids staying in Nebraska? Why do they keep leaving? And Rules made it a priority from day one to where all those coaches were going out to all the small towns and slapping an N on every single high school,
yeah.
Everywhere that they could do to let it know, leaving their stamp to know that they were there for that. So
let's pop in real quick here just to kind of see what's going on. So. I don't know if he's maybe taking some questions here. Let's just listen in here for a second, Eddie. Not 100% sure what they have going on there right now.
Sounds like maybe a video plan or
maybe
something.
A video.
Which is probably cool video for him out there.
Yeah, that would be nice. So again, so Carter Nelson again. There had obviously been some scuttlebutt that this was going to be the case. Again, you never know in recruiting, but he spent a lot of time in the last few weeks with some of other commits that Nebraska's gotten. Daniel KOLN, again, they were tweeting pictures of them at the College World Series together, and so
and that was a big. We actually ran some sound yesterday from Isaiah McMorris, and I want to make sure I say his name right because I know I've done it before. Davon Hall. So the two Bell West receivers. So we ran some sound about them talking about how Carter's their guy, and they were making sure that they were going to try and get him to stay home along with them. So yeah, a lot of big time in-state recruits, and this past weekend was definitely huge, I think, in the recruiting process of getting Carter to stay here in Nebraska.
So this whole month of June, again, has been pretty incredible for, again, Matt Rule and the football staff. Again, I think we kind of went into June, and there was only a handful of commitments. Certainly, I think less than 10.
Yeah.
But now I believe Carter Nelson makes, I think, 21.
Yeah, well, now you get and he'll make the 6th in-state recruit that they'll land for this 2024 class.
So they've had a huge run of commitments here over the last several weeks. Again, obviously Carter Nelson today. Looks like he's signing autographs right now there in the Ainsworth gym. Carter Nelson today, again, obviously you had the Bellevue West wideouts, McMorris and Hall. Obviously Daniel KOLN from Bellevue West as well was another really big one. And then a number of defensive backs. Dipping into Texas for a running back recruit,
Lacey, which a lot of people are really high on, and they said that was the Matt Rule put out another one of those cryptic tweets like, what I think like OMG they messed up or something, yeah. And there was a lot of speculation that Lacey he was kind of crystal balled to Ole Miss and he chose Nebraska over Ole Miss, so I think that was a tweet that everybody was kind of speculating on. But yeah, a lot of big-time recruits so far for Matt Rule and his staff. He's just done a fantastic job. And I think what's interesting, and some people are wondering, because there's a lot of 3 stars. Nelson is obviously probably
some of these are they
headlines.
don't even have any stars.
Yeah.
Rule and his staff are doing their own evaluations here, and they're giving these offers to kids who maybe don't have a lot of big time offers.
And that's he showed that works for them in the past, whether it's been at Temple or Baylor. And I think a lot of people they want I want to see 5 stars, but Rule has showed that he's found a lot of those diamonds in the rough, and he's able to get some of the kids that they just see projecting pretty well moving forward.
Okay. So we're still waiting on potentially getting a live interview here with Carter Nelson in the next few minutes. Again, sports reporter Chase Madison again up there working hard for us up in Ainsworth. Took the trip up there. So good news today for Nebraska. Again, we'll continue to give you some updates on this through the day. July is going to be pretty quiet, dead period as far as recruiting. But again, obviously, it's kind of the time for the coaches to finally get away, get on vacation a little bit before fall camp starts back up in August. Yeah,
and I think everybody's obviously looking forward to that. I mean, how's it? Football. I think this season's it's finally the last few years. There's always excitement, come Husker football time. But I think this year, there's a little bit of that extra excitement, kind of going back to that first year of Frost when everything's still fresh and new. You got the new head coach, and obviously he's bringing a lot of excitement to the program here moving forward. So a lot of exciting things moving forward for the Big Red, and I think Matt Rule's gonna be able to turn some things around here. I think culture-wise, things have looked. I know you hear that word culture, but I think everybody's pretty excited for what he's been able to do so far in terms of getting people involved and him being involved more in the community, and just as a whole. And again, landing these in-state kids has been
big.
It's big.
You don't want to see these kids, and again, you don't want to see these kids go off to another school, and especially do well. Because it hurts that much more when they're not playing for their home state school. So it will be interesting. The class is pretty well full up now. I think there's not a whole lot more room for any more commits. Again, they will likely find room, But there's still some irons in the fire, even on some local kids, where it's like we'll kind of have to wait and see.
Got another kid tomorrow at Omaha Central, lineman. He's announcing at 10 a.m. He's another potential. He's a 3-star, another guy that they're projecting could end up being a Cornhusker here in the future. So there are a few more kids here, like you said, as they're trying to iron out their last couple commits before they get really kicked off here for the season coming up.
All right, and so yeah, again, stay with us here for a few more minutes. Again, we're hoping to get live interview with Carter Nelson again, Ainsworth tight end, again, who just verbally committed to play for Nebraska. And Matt Rule, again, his ceremony just a few minutes ago there. And again, our sports reporter Chase Madison, again, up there in Ainsworth right now. And again, just kind of waiting for everything to get lined up there and for him to get a shot pulled back up, and we'll hopefully bring you that interview live here in just the next few minutes. So again, until then you gotta kind of listen to Eddie and I kind of blather a little bit. But again, a lot of good things to talk about. Again, there seems to be a lot of positive momentum for the football program.
Yeah,
right now.
And like you said, just keying in on the in-state kids. I think what's really been a cool development over the last few weeks is obviously getting Daniel KOLN to switch from Mizzou to commit to Nebraska was big, but I think what made it even more interesting is, I don't know if people were crazy high on KOLN, but then he went over to that Elite 11 camp, and for anybody that doesn't know,
he is an Elite 11 quarterback.
Yeah, we ran some film from him at that Elite 11 camp. For anyone that doesn't know anything about the Elite 11 camp, I mean, it literally takes the best quarterbacks in the country,
like 30 of them.
Yeah, year in, year out, and they do all their different skill competitions. He won the accuracy competition, so they go through different drills, a ton of different things, and they break it down by the end of the week to the Elite 11. So the top 11 quarterbacks in the country, and KOLN was not ranked in the top 10 or top 11 coming into that as far as, the rankings. I think he was somewhere between like 24, 25. But, he looked killer in that camp, and there was a lot of good things coming out from the scouts that were there. And he's one of those guys that just really impressed. And like you said, he made the Elite 11, and you're talking about being in company with guys like Bryce Young and those guys, those top quarterbacks of the world who obviously have gone on to be pretty successful in the last couple of years here. Yeah,
so again, good positive momentum for Nebraska, again, with Carter Nelson committing to Nebraska today. Again, still waiting hopefully for that live interview here in just the next few minutes. Again, I'm sure Carter Nelson's a very popular person right now, so again, we're kind of just patiently waiting for our turn to maybe hear from, again, the Ainsworth tight end. Again, hopefully closing the book on what has been a pretty long journey. Again, you mentioned it, but he was sought after by some really big schools. Again, he took official visits, I think, to Georgia as well as Notre Dame, Penn State. And again, to get to Ainsworth, again, for even coaches here in Lincoln, it's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, Chase, hopped in the car today, and it's like you said, four hours to get out there to Ainsworth. So we appreciate Chase waking up a little early to go and do that for us. But yeah, I mean, when you're talking about a kid that's that talented, he's somebody that you want to make sure you keep in state. And I think a lot of, early on it was a little nervous. It looked like from the jump, Georgia was the first school to really jump on him, and that's where he went first big school that he actually got to visit to. So it looked like early on that crystal ball projection was Georgia. But like I said, the last few weeks, Matt Rule and his staff really did a fantastic job of getting out there and making sure. And you got to give some credit to the kids too. The other in-state kids that helped bring him in, like I said, the trio from Bell West, they made sure. If you were checking on Twitter the last few weeks, they were posting pictures together, like you said, Bill, College World Series. They took pictures like in a huddle together in Memorial Stadium, so it's really cool stuff. And I think they kind of really made sure that they let it be known that we could stay in here, we could stay home and make things great in Nebraska, and get Nebraska back to where they want to be. And I think they got a lot of belief in Matt Rule and what this staff is doing, and I think a lot of fans do as well. I know just personally from going to the press conferences and listening to Rule talk, and he's been very open with the media. He's a guy that I really do think is gonna start to change things around here.
And again, just heard from Chase up in Ainsworth again, just asking for a few more minutes for that live interview with Carter Nelson. And again, I probably should do a little bit of a mea culpa here. We sent out a push notification on 1011, and it's my fault. I accidentally switched Carter's So we said Ainsworth tight end Nelson Carter is verbally committed to Nebraska. It's Carter Nelson, not Nelson Carter. So that was my fault. So a little.
It's okay, Bill. It happens.
It happens. There's a lot of moving parts sometimes when we're doing this stuff, and unfortunately, I didn't do a good enough job there. But, yeah, again, so just waiting for Chase. He says just a few more minutes here. So yeah, again, you're gonna hopefully just the next minute or so we're gonna get that pulled up.
Yeah, and just as far as Husker football too, I mean, obviously we've been talking about a lot of the new guys, and a lot of those guys are 2024 commits, so we still got some time to see them. But as far as this upcoming year, a lot of things to really be excited about too, with a new look kind of offense with Satterfield leading the charge there at offensive coordinator, and then obviously completely new quarterback situation again. We got no Casey Thompson. Casey Thompson's over at FAU now, joined his former head coach, and you got Jeff Sims now, who's looking to be the guy. You still got Chuba Purdy there in the room, but Jeff Sims is a guy I think a lot of people are really excited to watch. For anybody that's we've talked about on the streaming desk and during the shows and our newscasts, Jeff Sims is a pretty athletic guy, man. He's fun to watch, and anybody who's seen him play in the ACC over at Georgia Tech, I think there's a lot of upside with a guy like Jeff Sims moving forward. So there's a lot of things to really be excited about coming up this year for Husker football.
Yep, and this is always the time of year when fans like myself, again, I do not professionally necessarily cover the team, so I can still wear my fan hat. We really start to drink some of the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And again, that's
right, rightfully so.
I think every program does that, especially in the middle of the summer when there's nothing really going on. And
once you start, you think about even the guys that you landed last year that you're going to get to see for the first time this year. You start thinking about all the big names, the big transfers, and like you said, I mean, I'm a UCF grad, so I do the same thing. Year in and year out. It's like even if you don't have a good year, you start seeing Gus Malzahn bringing in all these great recruits. You're like, oh, we're going to be unbelievable. So it's only right that you drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, and it's okay, especially in this first year when you haven't seen what Matt Rule's done yet. It's it's okay to be a little excited about what a first-year head coach is going to do, and not even first-year head coach at Nebraska. I mean, obviously, when you got the resume that Matt Rule does, I don't think anybody's nervous that he's not going to be able to do a pretty solid job.
No, I absolutely agree. So yeah, again, we're still waiting again. Chase Madison, again, our sports reporter up in Ainsworth right now, again, covering Carter Nelson's commitment ceremony. Again, he's going to grab him, and we're going to hopefully talk to him live here for a few minutes here in just the next minute or so. So again, if you're still with us, please continue to stay with us. Again, this is kind of the beauty of live streaming. Things kind of wait. We might.
We're gonna have
we got a shot pulled up now, so we're starting. We're cooking with at least a little bit of gas now. So that should be coming up here, and hopefully just the next few minutes. So again, as we await that again, obviously the big news is that Carter Nelson, again, number one recruit in the state of Nebraska, top 50 nationally recruit.
Yeah, they got him ranked as the 40th overall prospect in the entire class. Number two tight end overall in the class. So I mean, he's just. Carter Nelson's he's just a freak athlete, man. I mean, he can do it all: track, basketball,
he does high jump. Doesn't he do pole vault too?
Guy can do everything. He's a freak athlete. He's fast, big, and again, you're gonna get him into, he's still in that high school weight room. They're gonna get him into that Nebraska.
Put some good weight on him.
They're gonna put some good weight on him, and he's only gonna get a little quicker, and he's gonna get a lot stronger. Which I think a lot of the plans are to get him a little stronger, which. It's crazy to say because the kid's a freak athlete already.
And so obviously projects as a little more of a, almost wide receiver, tight end hybrid role.
Which I think that's what a lot of tight ends are moving towards. I mean, you look at the Travis Kelce's, the Mike Gesicki's of the world in the NFL. I mean, most those guys are, we look at them as almost receivers at this point. I mean,
basically.
Travis Kelce's a wide receiver who
is officially listed on the roster as a tight end.
Yeah. So, a lot of these guys, it's kind of tight ends are becoming a lot more athletic. But I will say this, Satterfield and Rule, you got to be able to block. If you look at their room, they're moving guys all over to tight end. It seems like they have a million tight ends in that room. They're moving guys from the line to tight end. So all of a sudden, we went from having no tight ends to, they picked up a ton of tight ends. So you got to be able to block.
I mean, this is the second tight end commit of the class, Ian Flint, I believe from Texas. He's committed to the class. He's more of that in-line blocking tight end that you're talking about, Eddie.
Yeah.
And then I believe is it Keelan Smith I think he's a legacy
Yep.
recruit. He's kind of an athlete. Could be a tight end. Could be something.
They got him listed as a tight end.
So
his position's listed as a tight end.
So I would conjecture that having 3 tight ends in a recruiting class is probably a pretty high number.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
again, for all 3 of those guys, all really good players, and all I think could help your team.
Yeah, and I think Satterfield's going to get pretty creative in what he wants to do. I think a lot of people know that he's going to use these guys in a lot of different ways, and I think we're going to see that this upcoming year. Things are going to look a lot different on offense for Nebraska this year. I think it's going to be completely different than what we've seen the last few years. We got guys. Again, we've talked about this a ton. Them possibly even bringing the full. Well, not possibly. They are bringing the fullback back. So you're going to have it's going to be a lot of blocking with big tight ends, and then you got a quarterback that can run the ball just as probably good as anybody in the country in Jeff Sims. So going to be a pretty exciting offense, and hopefully score some more points. The defense, for the most part, the last couple of years has played fairly well. So it'd be nice to see the offense kind of catch up with the defense here.
Again, thanks for everyone for again tuning in and for watching. Again, we're still waiting on hopefully a live interview here with Carter Nelson, again, Ainsworth tight end. Again, just verbally committed to the University of Nebraska, and Matt Rule, again, our sports reporter Chase Madison, is currently up there right now in Ainsworth, and again, we're just waiting on that interview. Again, hopefully we'll have it here in just the next few minutes. So again, please continue to stay tuned here. But again, tight ends that are currently on the roster now, Eddie, for Nebraska. Again, obviously kind of the 2 big names being Thomas Fedoni, who was, again, a celebrated kind of local tight end recruit that Scott Frost
another guy that was highly touted coming out of school. The injuries have really hurt Fedoni the last few years. Just has not been able to stay on the field.
And then you have Reek Gilbert as well, again, who was, I believe he was the 5-star and obviously went to Georgia and is now transferred to NU. You have returning tight ends last year.
Well, I think Gilbert's going to be the guy to really keep an eye on. I think a lot. Well, him and Fedoni, they're going to be the 2 guys that everybody's really excited to see. As far as Fedoni, you look at a guy he looks healthy. He said multiple times that this is probably one of the best that he's felt. Obviously, tough when you have multiple knee injuries to come back, but he looks like he's ready to go. He looks in good shape. So he's going to be a guy that everyone's excited to see.
Nate Borkacher was the name I was
another
for.
Guy, an Aurora guy, another homegrown Husker, and he's a guy that
he started in the spring game.
He's a guy that
started with the ones, I think,
and he was a guy that wasn't on scholarship that Matt Rule put on scholarship over early in the summer here, and he talked about Nate. And there was one other person that he said they wanted to make sure those were the 2 guys that they took care of. Getting them on scholarship, 2 important guys. Again, more tight ends. They love the tight ends.
Janiron Bonner, who moved from wide out to tight end, and I think in the spring game played a lot of that fullback
position.
as well.
Yeah, and they said, if he keeps shining and excelling in that fullback position, he's going to play there a ton this year. And they like him at tight end too. He's going to be again a guy who's a little quicker, moving from position, so he's fast, but he's very powerful, a guy that they're going to use. They said Bonner can play, almost anywhere on the field. That he's a guy that they're also really high on.
So still waiting again for Carter Nelson. Again, hopefully going to get that live interview here with Carter here in just the next few minutes. So again, appreciate everyone for tuning in and staying tuned in, watching us. Again, sports reporter Chase Madison is up there right now in Ainsworth, and again, right now, a shot's just kind of blank, so I'm sure he's probably trying to get everything put together up there. And once we have that shot pulled up, we'll bring it to you, and we'll bring you that Carter Nelson interview live here on 1011 from the 1011 streaming studio. So, again, appreciate everyone for tuning in and for watching and for sticking with us. And, again, sticking with us while Eddie and I blather through Husker football-related news, recruiting, and otherwise.
I don't think you can ever get too much Husker football. I think we're getting to that point, like you said, where everybody's pretty excited for football season. There's not much going on right now outside of Major League Baseball, and we just had the NBA draft, NHL draft tonight. So, but for the most part, I don't think it's ever too early to be talking Husker football.
So again, pulling up, this is the On3 rankings for Nebraska football commits. Again, they're ranked 20th in the class right now is where they are ranked, and that includes the Carter Nelson commit, who again on the On3 site they have him, number one recruit in the state, number 3 nationally for the tight end position, number 57 overall nationally. So again, that's up to the 20th ranked
and I think
class.
what's interesting about being ranked 20th nationally is like that. I don't think that's ever really been a problem the last few years. I think the big thing coming up this year is going to be if Matt Rule can really develop these guys, because even with Scott Frost, there was a lot of classes that were ranked pretty high nationally, and it just seemed like on the field they could never get it figured out, and it turned into maybe it's just a development issue. So that's been something that Matt Rule's been praised on. In his time at Baylor and at Temple, is getting a lot of these guys ready to go for that next level in the NFL. And by the time they're ready, or by the time they're in their junior, senior year at their respective schools, that they're ready to get on the field and compete. And again, that showed at Temple and at Baylor. Making both. This last year there, both those years had fantastic teams, and there were a lot of guys that they had to develop over the few years. So I think that's going to be a big thing to look out for the next couple of years for this Nebraska coaching staff, is how they develop a lot of these young guys and talented guys for a class that is ranked 20th nationally.
And it looks like, again, up 9 spots from 29 with the Carter Nelson commitment. And again, getting some messages here from Chase that they are going to be ready in just like the next minute or so. So yeah, we'll hopefully bring you that live Carter Nelson interview here in just the next minute or two. Chase said they're next, so it sounds like he's kind of doing the media rounds up there. Again, Carter Nelson had tweeted out earlier this week, that he was committing at noon today, and it said the media was welcome to come. So I think there was multiple media outlets, including obviously again 10-11 that were there, kind of watching and waiting.
Yeah,
so,
you could see. Again, this is how big of a deal it is when there's this much Nebraska media that a lot are based in Lincoln and in Omaha that are making the trip out there to Ainsworth. It just shows you how big of a deal it is that Nebraska was able, to keep Carter in state here, because again, just a special athlete and a really good kid, and I think a lot of people are going to be really excited to watch him play on the field in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and so we got, again, Chase's shot pulled up now, and
again, we got one more in-state kid committing from Omaha Central, Caleb Pyfrom. Again, he's a 3-star offensive tackle that is, kind of been talked about maybe committing to Nebraska. So another kid to look out for tomorrow. He's committing tomorrow at 10 a.m. So again, if they're able to land him, Nebraska, they'd move up to 7 in-state recruits for this 2024 class.
Good. All right, yeah, just trying to kind of communicate with Chase here while still doing this. So, looks like let's just dip into this here.
Good to go? All right. Welcome to the 1011 Now stream online, 1011now.com. Chase Madison here with Carter Nelson, just committed to the University of Nebraska, the top player in the state. First, just how does it feel to be a Husker?
I mean, it feels great. I definitely don't have any doubt about my decision. And I'm really excited to see what we can do, because I really have high expectations.
Being from the town of Ainsworth, we're pretty far up here, small town, but it is relatively not too far from Lincoln. How does it feel to represent the home state, but then also just represent this small community?
It's amazing. Representing this small community has been probably one of the best things I've ever done. Some of my favorite things about going on visits is explaining to people where I am from. Like 2.5 hours to Walmart, 8-man football. What's the time when I say 8-man football, they go, what are you talking about? They never even heard of it. I mean, so to show to younger kids around the state that where they're at, they can do it still is really important to me. I want to be a good role model to them and just show them that no matter where you're at, you can do it as long as you put your mind to it. So.
besides just the football field, you're a multi-sport athlete, also a 7-foot high jumper for the track and field area, and that was something that got coaches' attention on when you were in that recruiting process. Just kind of how are you going to use your multi-sport athlete skills at Nebraska, and then also just kind of what do you think your role will be?
I think the best thing about it going there is we're not going to know exactly what exact type of position I'll play. Tight end is what we're saying, and we'll see where that goes. But they express that if I get there and they believe that I would be more resourceful at a different position, they're going to use me there, and I respect that a lot. So.
You're already having people ask for autographs. They're signing money, right? People signing hat bills. Just kind of how cool is it to not only represent Ainsworth at Nebraska, but also just have so many Husker fans pulling for you to be successful?
It's amazing. It's definitely cool because when I was younger, I was the same way. So I want to be the kid that they look up to. And then with all the adults, they know what it was like when they were winning, and I'm trying to bring that back. So we're going to get it done.
How did Coach Satterfield and Coach Rule just kind of convince you to stay in state? You had a lot of offers from all over the country, some great programs, but just what pushed you over the edge to become a Husker?
It was definitely, I saw the way they were going to use me, but then I also saw their atmosphere. I like the way their coaches mesh with each other. It's not so much, it's business, don't get me wrong, but it's not just business. So they've got a family vibe and everything, and that was really important to me because even on my official visit, my family came and picked me up and we went putt-putt golfing with my little cousin. And that was kind of the moment where I was like, this is special. And I'm only going to have a chance to live this once, and it was definitely a great experience.
Now, while being the top recruit in the state, Carter Nelson here, 1011 Now streaming, it is very cool to be the #1 recruit, to kind of have all these offers, but it's also not an easy process to go through the recruiting process, and you've even talked about it. It can be tiring, right, to go from place to place. Just kind of, what is that weight off your shoulders that you're now committed and you don't have to do that anymore and you can just be a senior in high school and play out that season?
It's great because the one thing on my mind right now is getting this high school team to a state championship, and we're going to do it as a team. We have high hopes for this year, and now instead of focusing on what I'm going to be doing Saturday after the game, where if I have to leave after the game, it's going to be, I'm going to go win that game. So I'm definitely excited to see what me and the boys can do this year. But yeah, no, it's definitely a weight off my shoulders, but I'm still going to work, and it's not done.
Okay, final question for you. Just kind of people that are in the rest of the state of Nebraska, Husker fans, what is something about you that you want them to know that maybe it doesn't meet the eye, right? Besides the town of Ainsworth, small town kid, just kind of what's something unique about yourself?
I believe I'm an absolute goofball.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to take a lot of stuff seriously. I'm always gonna try to have the room laughing. So I'm a goofball. So.
All right, that's the top recruit in the state committed to the Huskers. Thank you so much, and appreciate you watching.
All right, that was Carter Nelson.
What an answer there
He's a goofball. He's a goofball.
I told you. I mean, we were talking about that. Leading up to it. Obviously, we were waiting to get that, and I said he's a great kid, and I think that showed there in that interview. But great interview by Chase, and we really appreciate Chase going out there. Not an easy drive here from Lincoln to get out there, but yeah, I think Nebraska's getting a really high character kid that's obviously super athletic.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll wrap this up again. Eddie will obviously have, again, more coverage on this tonight. The KOLN are on 10:11 now at 6 and at 10 as well. And, again, you can get more stuff online as well. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and for watching. Again, for Eddie Messel, I'm Bill Rentschler. Hope everyone has an excellent Wednesday afternoon.